Finding the right place to call home involves much more than simply selecting a house or apartment, because apparently choosing where to live in Israel requires the same level of strategic planning typically reserved for military operations or wedding planning. The type of community you choose to live in will fundamentally shape your daily experience, social connections, lifestyle, and overall quality of life, plus determine whether your neighbors will gossip about you in Hebrew or English. In Israel, the diversity of community types offers unprecedented choices, each with distinct characteristics, advantages, and considerations that would challenge a PhD dissertation committee. Understanding these options is essential for making an informed decision that aligns with your personal values, professional needs, and life goals, assuming you can figure out what those are while adjusting to a new country and learning a language that reads backwards. Israel's major cities, Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Haifa, and Beersheba, represent the country's economic and cultural epicenters, where dreams go to either flourish spectacularly or get crushed by rent prices that make your previous housing costs look like pocket change. These urban environments pulse with energy and caffeine addiction, offering unparalleled access to employment opportunities, cultural institutions, educational facilities, and modern amenities like 24-hour hummus shops and therapy offices specializing in immigration trauma. Living in a big city means being at the heart of innovation, where startups flourish alongside established corporations in offices that somehow cost more per square meter than luxury apartments, and where diverse populations create vibrant cosmopolitan atmospheres filled with people complaining about housing prices in 17 different languages. The advantages of big city living are numerous and compelling, assuming your bank account can handle the financial equivalent of supporting a small country. Career opportunities abound across virtually every sector, from high-tech companies that require you to work the hours of 3 people to arts organizations that pay you the salary of approximately half a person. Public transportation networks are most developed in these areas, often making car ownership optional rather than essential, which is convenient since parking costs more than some people's mortgages, and finding a parking space requires the patience of a saint and the strategic thinking of a chess grandmaster. Cultural life thrives with theaters, museums, galleries, restaurants representing cuisines from around the world, and nightlife that caters to every taste, assuming your taste includes staying out until 3 a.m. and paying cocktail prices that require financial planning. Educational institutions, from top-tier universities to specialized schools, provide excellent options for families willing to navigate admission processes that make applying to Harvard look straightforward. Healthcare facilities are typically the most advanced and accessible, with major medical centers and specialist services readily available for people who can afford them and figure out the health insurance system that operates on principles known only to trained professionals and possibly some very intelligent dolphins. However, big city living comes with significant trade-offs that must be carefully considered, preferably before signing any lease agreements or making any major life decisions. The cost of living is substantially higher, with housing prices often consuming a disproportionate share of household income and requiring sacrificial offerings to various financial gods. The pace of life can be relentlessly fast, creating stress levels that make military service look relaxing and making it challenging to maintain work-life balance when work seems to consume approximately 73 hours per day. Population density brings both benefits and drawbacks. While you're surrounded by people and opportunities, you may also face crowding that makes sardine cans look spacious, noise levels that require industrial-strength earplugs, air pollution that adds character to your daily breathing routine, and limited personal space that turns everyone into accidental intimacy experts. Competition for resources, from parking spaces to school placements, can be intense enough to require diplomatic negotiation skills and possibly professional mediation. The anonymity that cities provide can be liberating for some but isolating for others who crave closer community connections and miss the days when neighbors knew your name instead of just your apartment number. Small cities like Netanya, Ashdod, Petah Tikva, and Rishon LeZion offer many urban advantages while maintaining a more manageable scale and often a stronger sense of community identity, plus the ability to walk to the grocery store without requiring GPS navigation and a professional guide. These cities typically have populations ranging from 100,000 to 300,000 residents, providing sufficient critical mass to support diverse businesses, cultural activities, and services without the overwhelming intensity of major metropolitan areas, where choosing a restaurant requires research typically associated with doctoral dissertations. The appeal of small cities lies in their ability to offer the best of both worlds, assuming you define best as most of the conveniences with fewer of the headaches. You'll find good employment opportunities, though perhaps not as extensive as in major cities, along with reasonable access to cultural amenities, shopping centers, and recreational facilities that don't require advance reservations or personal connections to access. Housing costs are generally more affordable than in big cities, allowing for larger living spaces and potentially home ownership opportunities that might be out of reach elsewhere, like owning enough space to fit both a bed and a couch in the same room. Public services tend to be more responsive and personal, with local government officials more accessible to residents and less likely to treat your concerns like minor inconveniences in their busy schedules. Schools often benefit from smaller class sizes and stronger parent-teacher relationships, creating educational environments where your child might actually be known by name rather than student identification number. Small cities frequently maintain distinct characters and histories that give residents a stronger sense of place and belonging, plus inside jokes that only locals understand, and the ability to run into people you know at the grocery store, which is either charming or terrifying depending on your social energy levels. Community events, local festivals, and civic engagement opportunities are more accessible and meaningful, creating chances to participate in democracy without requiring professional networking skills or political science degrees. The pace of life is typically more relaxed, allowing for better work-life balance and more time for family and personal interests, assuming you can adjust to life without 24-hour everything and the constant stimulation of urban chaos. Commuting times are usually shorter, whether traveling within the city or to nearby major urban centers for work, giving you more time for important activities like sleep and complaining about Israeli politics with friends. Nevertheless, small cities have limitations that may not suit everyone's needs or preferences, particularly those who require constant stimulation or access to extremely specialized services. Career advancement opportunities may be more limited, particularly in specialized fields, potentially requiring commutes to larger cities that can turn your work-life balance back into work-commute life imbalance. Cultural and entertainment options, while present, may not match the diversity and sophistication available in major metropolitan areas, meaning you might see the same theater production 17 times or develop deep personal relationships with the staff at the only decent restaurant in town. Shopping and dining choices might be more restricted, requiring online shopping skills that would challenge professional procurement specialists and occasional pilgrimages to bigger cities for anything more exotic than basic groceries. You may need to travel for specialized services or unique experiences, turning routine errands into day trips and making spontaneous adventures require actual planning and possibly packed lunches. Big towns, typically ranging from 20,000 to 100,000 residents, represent a middle ground that appeals to many families and individuals seeking community connection without sacrificing too many modern conveniences like having more than one coffee shop or the ability to buy decent sushi somewhere within driving distance. Towns like Carmel, Ma'alot Tarshiha, and Kiryat Gat offer substantial populations that can support good schools, healthcare facilities, shopping centers, and local businesses while maintaining a more intimate, community-oriented atmosphere where people might actually remember your name and your usual coffee order. These communities often develop around specific industries or geographic advantages, creating distinct local identities and economic bases that give everyone something to bond over, besides complaining about the weather. Residents frequently know their neighbors, participate in local organizations, and feel more connected to municipal decision-making processes, sometimes to the point where local politics become more engaging than television dramas. Housing options typically include both apartments and single-family homes, often at prices significantly lower than those found in cities, allowing people to own actual houses with yards where children can play and adults can garden or at least pretend to understand gardening. The natural environment is usually more accessible, with parks, hiking trails, and open spaces integrated into daily life rather than requiring special expeditions and professional outdoor gear. Big towns often serve as regional centers, providing services and employment for surrounding smaller communities, creating economic stability and ensuring access to essential services like hospitals, high schools, and government offices that function with only moderate levels of bureaucratic complexity. Cultural life, while more limited than in cities, often includes community theaters where everyone knows the actors personally, sports clubs that welcome beginners and experts alike, libraries that still feel like community gathering places, and regular festivals or events that bring residents together and provide legitimate excuses to eat too much food and stay up past reasonable bedtimes. If navigating all these community options feels overwhelming, an easy Aliyah boutique concierge service can help you understand the social dynamics and practical considerations of different towns before you commit to any particular community. However, the limitations of big town living become apparent when seeking specialized services, advanced educational opportunities, or diverse cultural experiences that require populations larger than most extended families. Career options may be limited to local industries, creating job markets that everyone knows about and competition that involves actual personal relationships rather than anonymous resume submissions. Young adults often migrate to cities for university education and broader opportunities, creating demographic patterns that can make towns feel like retirement communities with the occasional young family thrown in for variety. Public transportation is typically minimal, making car ownership essential for most residents and turning simple errands into automotive adventures that require planning and possibly backup transportation options. The intimacy that makes big town living appealing can also become overwhelming when everyone knows your business and has opinions about your life choices, creating social dynamics that can feel like living in a very large extended family where privacy requires actual effort and strategic planning. Small towns, with populations typically under 20,000, offer the most intimate community experience available in modern Israeli society, where privacy is a theoretical concept and everyone's business becomes community business, whether you like it or not. Places like Yeruham, Metula, and Sderot provide residents with the opportunity to be genuinely known and valued members of a close-knit community where individual contributions make a visible difference and where skipping community events gets noticed by people who will ask you about it later. The advantages of small-town living center around community connection and quality of life factors that are increasingly rare in our interconnected but often impersonal modern world, like knowing your pharmacist's family history and having neighbors who notice when you haven't picked up your mail for 3 days. Children grow up knowing their neighbors, walking safely to school without requiring protective equipment or GPS tracking, and participating in community activities where their involvement is both noticed and appreciated by adults who remember their names and probably taught their parents too. Housing costs are typically the lowest available, often allowing families to own homes with yards and gardens that provide enough space for children to play, adults to garden, and everyone to experience the luxury of storing seasonal items without requiring Tetris-level packing skills. The pace of life is deliberately slower, prioritizing relationships and personal well-being over economic advancement, and creating environments where people actually have time to talk to each other without scheduling appointments weeks in advance. Small towns often possess unique characteristics, historical significance, natural beauty, or cultural distinctiveness that create strong community pride and identity, plus conversation topics that can sustain dinner parties for months. Local businesses are truly local, often family-owned establishments where personal relationships matter more than profit margins and where customer service includes remembering how you like your coffee and asking about your family's health. Civic participation is more meaningful, as individual voices carry more weight in local decision-making processes, and town meetings actually influence outcomes rather than serving as elaborate theatrical performances. The challenges of small-town living primarily revolve around limited opportunities and services that can make daily life feel like a constant adventure in creative problem-solving. Employment options may be severely restricted, often requiring commutes to larger communities that turn your peaceful small-town lifestyle into a daily migration pattern, or limiting career advancement to whatever opportunities exist within walking distance of your house. Educational opportunities beyond basic schooling usually require travel or relocation, creating family decisions that involve choosing between community connection and academic advancement. Healthcare, shopping, and entertainment options are minimal, necessitating regular trips to larger communities for many needs and turning routine medical appointments into day trips that require advanced planning and possibly overnight accommodations. Young people often leave for education and career opportunities, potentially creating demographic imbalances that can make small towns feel like retirement communities where the average age increases annually and finding babysitters requires recruiting from neighboring towns. Yeshuvim represent a uniquely Israeli approach to community development, typically established as small, planned communities with specific demographic or ideological foundations that create environments where everyone shares similar values, life goals, and probably opinions about Israeli politics. These communities, ranging from a few hundred to several thousand residents, are often built around shared values, religious observance levels, lifestyle preferences, or professional backgrounds, creating social cohesion that can feel either wonderfully supportive or slightly cult-like depending on your perspective and tolerance for group consensus. The defining characteristic of Yeshuvim is their intentional nature, meaning residents typically choose these communities because they align with specific lifestyle goals or values rather than because they happen to find affordable housing there. This creates unusually high levels of social cohesion and shared purpose, plus the kind of community unity that can accomplish amazing things or drive you completely insane, depending on whether you actually agree with the shared values and whether you enjoy committee meetings about community landscaping decisions. Many Yeshuvim maintain admission committees that ensure new residents share the community's vision and values, creating harmonious but potentially exclusive environments where everyone gets along beautifully, but newcomers need to pass what amounts to a social compatibility test. These communities often feature carefully planned physical environments with attention to green spaces, pedestrian-friendly designs, and architectural consistency that creates beautiful neighborhoods where everything looks coordinated and nothing looks like it was built by someone's cousin who claimed to know about construction. Community facilities like synagogues, community centers, and playgrounds are central to daily life, creating shared spaces where residents gather regularly and children grow up thinking that everyone's neighborhood has weekly community barbecues and monthly talent shows. Social support networks are strong, with neighbors helping each other through life's challenges and celebrations in ways that can make you feel like you're part of an extended family or like you're living in a very supportive fishbowl where everyone knows when you're having marital problems before you do. However, the intentional and selective nature of Yeshuvim can create challenges that prospective residents should consider carefully, preferably before falling in love with the idea of perfect community harmony. The admission process may exclude individuals who don't fit predetermined criteria, raising questions about diversity and inclusion that can make some people uncomfortable and creating communities that are wonderfully cohesive but potentially lacking in the kind of diversity that makes life interesting. The small size and shared values that create intimacy can also lead to social pressure and limited privacy, where your personal choices become community topics and your parenting decisions get evaluated by neighbors who definitely have opinions about everything. Economic opportunities within the community are usually minimal, requiring commutes for employment that can undermine the community-centered lifestyle that attracted residents in the first place. The consensus-based decision-making that creates harmony can also create bureaucracy that makes local government look efficient, and community meetings about playground equipment can take longer than United Nations peace negotiations. Kibbutzim represent one of Israel's most distinctive social innovations, originally established as collective agricultural communities based on principles of equality, mutual aid, and shared ownership that sounded much more appealing during the idealistic phases of Israeli history, when everyone was young and optimistic about communal living. While modern kibbutzim have evolved significantly from their socialist origins, they continue to offer unique community experiences that attract residents seeking alternatives to conventional lifestyle choices, plus people who are really interested in committee meetings and group decision-making processes that can make municipal government look streamlined. Contemporary kibbutzim vary widely in their approach to collective versus individual ownership, creating a spectrum of community arrangements that range from "we share everything" to "we share some things and argue about the rest" to "we basically live next to each other and cooperate when convenient." Most maintain strong community bonds and shared facilities that distinguish them from other residential options, including communal dining halls where you can eat with your neighbors every night or avoid them entirely depending on your social energy levels, swimming pools that belong to everyone and therefore require everyone to agree on maintenance schedules, and cultural centers where community talent shows reveal surprising facts about your neighbor's hidden abilities. Many kibbutzim have successfully transitioned from purely agricultural enterprises to diverse economic activities, including manufacturing, tourism, and high-tech industries, creating employment opportunities that allow residents to work where they live while contributing to community economic stability. The appeal of kibbutz living lies in the unique combination of community support, shared resources, and often beautiful natural settings that provide lifestyle benefits typically available only to people with significant personal wealth or very good planning skills. Children benefit from safe, nurturing environments where community members share responsibility for their well-being and development, creating extended families where every adult feels some responsibility for every child, and discipline involves community consensus rather than individual parental authority. The cooperative nature of kibbutz life often provides economic security and social support that helps residents weather personal or economic challenges through shared resources and community assistance that can make difficult times much more manageable. Modern kibbutzim face the ongoing challenge of balancing individual autonomy with collective responsibility, creating philosophical discussions that can make university seminars look decisive and practical. Many have moved toward mixed models that combine private ownership with shared community assets and services, creating arrangements that require constant negotiation and occasionally heated debates about everything from lawn maintenance to children's education. This evolution has created diverse options that can accommodate different lifestyle preferences, but it has also led to ongoing debates about the future direction of the kibbutz movement and what actually distinguishes kibbutz life from other residential choices besides the monthly community meetings and shared swimming pool maintenance responsibilities. Moshavim represent a middle path between the collective ownership of kibbutzim and entirely private communities, combining individual land ownership and family farming with cooperative purchasing, marketing, and sometimes processing of agricultural products in arrangements that require both business sense and diplomatic skills. Originally established as cooperative agricultural settlements, Moshavim appeal to individuals and families who value rural living, agricultural pursuits, and community cooperation while maintaining private ownership and family autonomy, plus the ability to make personal decisions without requiring community consensus about everything from dinner choices to vacation destinations. The traditional moshav structure appeals to people who want to own their own homes and farmland while participating in cooperative purchasing of supplies that reduces costs through group buying power, sharing of expensive equipment that no individual farmer could afford alone, and collective marketing of products that gives small producers access to larger markets. Each family typically owns their home and farmland while participating in cooperative activities that create economic advantages and community connections without requiring consensus about personal lifestyle choices. Modern moshavim have diversified beyond agriculture, with many residents pursuing careers in nearby cities while maintaining rural lifestyles that combine professional opportunities with agricultural traditions and community cooperation. This evolution has created communities that combine rural beauty and tranquility with reasonable access to urban amenities and employment opportunities, allowing residents to enjoy both career advancement and the kind of lifestyle that includes fresh eggs and homegrown vegetables without requiring complete commitment to agricultural life. The cooperative tradition often extends beyond agriculture to community services, creating strong social networks and mutual support systems that provide both practical assistance and social connection. However, moshav life requires active participation in community decisions and cooperative activities, which may not suit everyone's preferences or schedules. particularly people who prefer making individual decisions without requiring input from neighbors about farming techniques or equipment purchases. The agricultural foundation, even when modified, often means larger time commitments and seasonal variations in workload and income that can challenge people accustomed to predictable schedules and steady paychecks. Selecting the right community type requires honest assessment of your priorities, lifestyle preferences, and life stage needs, plus the kind of self-awareness that typically develops after years of therapy or extensive travel experience. Consider your career requirements and advancement goals carefully. Some professions thrive in urban environments where networking happens at coffee shops and professional opportunities appear regularly, while others are more compatible with rural or small-town settings where work-life balance actually exists and commuting involves scenic drives rather than subway survival skills. Evaluate your financial situation and housing preferences realistically, as community type directly impacts both cost of living and available housing options in ways that can dramatically affect your quality of life and long-term financial stability. Think carefully about your social needs and preferences before making decisions you'll need to live with daily. Do you thrive in diverse cosmopolitan environments where you can remain anonymous and choose your social interactions? Or do you prefer intimate communities where everyone knows each other and privacy requires actual effort and strategic planning? Consider your family situation and how different community types might affect your children's development, educational opportunities, and social experiences. Young families often prioritize school quality and safety over cultural amenities and nightlife options, while empty nesters might value cultural activities and healthcare access more than playground proximity and family-friendly programming. Don't forget to consider your long-term plans and how your needs might evolve over time, as the community that suits you perfectly today might feel restrictive or inadequate as your life circumstances change. The choice of community type is deeply personal and significantly impacts daily life satisfaction in ways that can affect everything from your morning mood to your long-term happiness and sense of belonging. Take time to visit different types of communities. Talk with current residents who can provide honest insights about both advantages and challenges, and honestly assess how each option aligns with your values, goals, and lifestyle preferences. If evaluating all these community options feels overwhelming, an easy Alia Boutique concierge service can help you understand the practical and social implications of different community types, connect you with current residents who can share their experiences, and guide you toward communities that match your personality and priorities. The right choice will support and enhance your life journey, providing the foundation for both personal fulfillment and meaningful community connection, plus the kind of daily satisfaction that comes from living somewhere that actually suits your personality rather than just your budget.